Oh, hi! Welcome to my Strat Self Build. This is the end of the video now, but it's the beginning for you. And this is the guitar that will always be known to me as El Terriblè, because it's been such a problem child to build. So here is my video about my self build. Hope you enjoy it. Hi, and welcome to my video, which is probably going to take about 3 weeks to finish, of a self build of a Fender Stratocaster. So we're all on lockdown, we're all on coronavirus measures. There you go, can't leave the house or do things. So I decided to do something I wanted to do for a long time and order the parts to build a Fender Stratocaster. So this is one that Fender made earlier, not me. This is a Mexican built Fender Stratocaster. I picked it up cheaply a few years ago. Really cool guitar, very versatile, does an awful lot of things very well. But I decided to try and make one by buying my own parts, high quality parts, and see if I can kind of build something that's a little better. It's not really building, I suppose that's misleading, it's more assembling. But this is a Fender made one. I don't really like the maple neck, so you can probably see the maple neck, all right? The colour's okay, but it's just pretty standard really. Is what it is. There's different tuners I like different pickups. So there you go. Anyway, so there's going to be a few videos. This is going to take a while, and yeah, we shall see. First thing, so phase one done. Don't know if it shows, but the frets, so the silver parts, much cleaner. Much cleaner. Very shiny. Next up, I take the masking tape off and I clean up the guitar neck and I clean the actual frets themselves. So, next. I've done all I can for day one. I have cleaned the frets on the neck, I've cleaned the fretboard. So what I did was I took a sharp knife and I've actually scraped a slight layer off the fretboard. It's just very minute, minuscule thin. You're meant to use like a Stanley knife or something, but my Stanley knife's rubbish and I've got quite a sharp kitchen knife, which worked well. Just cleaned all the gunk off. Then I used lemon oil on the fretboard to bring the fretboard up. For anybody who doesn't know, any dark wood fretboards, you use lemon oil to put some moisture in the oil and it refreshes the darkness within the wood. But you don't use it on maple, you don't use it on a light neck, you use it on a dark neck. So, this neck now, it's kind of got nice clean frets on it and the fretboard is cleaned off. I've got to be honest, I'm really happy. It's probably not showing on the video because it's only an iPhone camera and it's rubbish. But I'm really happy. Ah, there you go. You can kind of see it there. I'm really happy with the way that's come up. I think that fretboard's really kind of come up well. So just a little bit of elbow grease and cleaning off the dirt. It's giving it a new lease of life. So yeah, that's all I can do for today. I need more parts to arrive, but to be continued. Day one done. We are about 8 days on from the last time you saw me film. I'm in a jumper now because the weather's turned more horrible. And the reason we're a bit longer on is I've been waiting for parts to arrive. I'm still waiting for a lot of parts to arrive, but the next part of the job that I can do is in place. So,
little did I know,
all
it wasn't
the way
a different
from
story. This was actually
that
a
America,
major problem.
I've got to figure something
at
out
this
about
point,
this, but anyway, that's a
I'm
different
naive
story.
idiot.
All the way from that America, this has arrived, which might not look exciting, but it's a pick guard with loaded pickups and pots and everything. It's CTS pots, and it's really cool. This is pretty much the powerhouse of the entire guitar. So the reason I bought this from America preloaded, one, I don't trust myself to wire this up because my soldering and my wiring is awful. However, this is a colour called mint green, so it might look like it's white, but it's actually got a kind of green hue to it, kind of a vintage hue. But the real deal breaker with these is these pickups, which, as you might see, say noiseless on them. So these are the Fender vintage noiseless pickups. So I saw a Stratocaster build video a little while ago, and there was a piece of advice on there that said, just always buy the pickups from the artists whose sound that you like. So for me, like, the best Stratocaster sound is like Eric Clapton in the 80s. It's a sound that I grew up on. It's not his most popular era for people, but I do like the sound he got out of a Stratocaster. So he got a very thick, full, like dirty sound out of it, but it still had the clarity of a Stratocaster. So I went for the pickups that Eric Clapton uses in his guitars, which is the Fender vintage noiseless pickups. So the next job is drilling the holes in the guitar body to make sure that it'll go in. I haven't got the screws for it because the cheapskate American company I bought it from didn't provide screws. Bless them. They weren't the easiest to deal with. They weren't the nicest, in fairness. Anyway, the grand reveal now, by far probably the best company I've dealt with in terms of parts so far, was Northwest Guitars, who did the body. So the other thing, if I'm making an Eric Clapton style guitar, Fender Stratocasters tend to be made out of ash or alder predominantly. There's some are made out of carina, some are made out of mahogany, but ash and alder are the two classic kind of woods for a Fender. The ash guitars are actually being phased out because it's getting harder to kind of come by. And Clapton uses an alder guitar, so I've got an alder body. So from Northwest Guitars in Warrington, I believe, quite a good service to be fair to them, they were good. This is my guitar body. It's a kind of day 4012 of the guitar build. It's not really. It's about day 9-ish of since the body arrived. I started filming. Since I cleaned up the neck, that was the first thing that happened. And it's while I'm on the subject of the neck, I've had another part arrive. So parts are kind of trickle arriving. Some have kind of had to ship overseas. Some have come from this country that have taken a while, but anyway. So the part that has arrived today is machine heads, tuners, right? So let's just take that off. The tuners I've opted for are these ones that have got the little oval pennies, and if you see at the side, they're very dainty. These are the Fender vintage tuners, and I've always liked these, always prefer them. And you get different types of vintage tuners, but the ones that I like are these ones. I don't know if you can see, there's a hole there. So when you're stringing them, the string goes inside there, then you wind it round. Just personal preference, but they're authentic Fender vintage tuners. You might see like why such minute detail, but if I'm building a guitar and going through the issues with it, and there's few unforeseen ones that I'll kind of get into at a later date, you might as well build it with the parts that you want to use. So you might as well, accept no substitutes, use the parts that you want to use. So well, wasn't that a tricky little job? Yeah, used all my bodging skills. Wasn't made any easier by, in the back of the head, there were two old screws. So I bought this second-hand years ago, this guitar neck, and there were two old screws that the head had come off, but I needed to get those out because I needed to go into the screws, the screw holes that were there. So anyway, this is the job now. 6 tuners, perfectly in line, nice little button heads. And that's the picture from the front. Getting these sleeve pieces here in, that was quite difficult. really snug fit, but I had an ingenious solution with, where's the tool? With one of these. I don't know what that is, it's something to do with plumbing, bought it years ago. And 2 actual coins and some masking tape. That was the system I used. Anybody who actually builds guitars now, if they've bothered watching this, will be looking at this and will be absolutely horrified. But let's just do the Pepsi chat. Well, it's 10:30 on the 7th of May. We're just past 2 weeks when I started the build. I've had a nasty case of conjunctivitis that's now on the mend. Took a bit of wind out my sails, that one. So yeah, today is the day when I think, by the end of the day, hopefully, we should have a functioning, put together, finished guitar. So, fingers crossed. However, okay, so unforeseen problems when building your own Fender Stratocaster, because you look online and you go, ah, look, that's easy, you just buy that and you put it together and you've got a guitar. And you watch YouTube videos and people go, look, it's easy, you just bolt the guitar together and you've got a guitar, it's done. No, it's not that easy. This that we referred to earlier is a pre-wired pickguard with Fender vintage noiseless pickups. It's probably the most important piece on the guitar. And they sell this as, oh yeah, just wire in your input jack, which is fine, and you're ready to go. What they don't tell you is they haven't actually put the leads that go off to the input jack on it. So I've got to figure out where they go, and I've also got to solder them on, which leads to a hidden cost. I had to buy a soldering kit, so there's a hidden cost. Another thing they do, you think, oh great, you know, buy this, put it in. They don't actually provide the screws for it to be screwed into the body. So, another hidden cost. You have to buy the screws. But these are brand new screws, and I want these screws to look old. I want this guitar to look a bit vintage. So, I'm going to steal the screws out of my 2008 one and put the new screws into that one. So I've got to be a little bit ingenious with these things, but it isn't as easy as people think. And like the soldering part, I've got to say, I'm fully expecting to swear an awful lot through that, because I'm not very good at soldering, never have been. So I've had to buy wire. I'm going to take that one apart also, and I'm going to see how that's wired in. So that's where that's going to come in handy today. The old trusty Mexican Stratocaster is going to get took apart, and I'm going to copy its wiring. I just hope that it's wired the same way as this, so I can figure it out. Okay, so after much toing and froing, we've now got the neck attached, we've got the bridge attached, so that's in there. My bridge screws arrived. We've got the tremolo system attached, and I've set the bridge for the guitar nerdy types. I want a flat bridge. This guitar is not going to have a tremolo in it. So tremolos with the arm that lifts the bridge. I'll do a demonstration of that later, but this isn't going to have one of those. This is going to be fixed bridge. So I've put those pieces in, got a little engraved F on the neck plate. But now we come to the part that I'm which is the electrics and soldering. So just a quick in-play video. I need to make that look like that, and all I just see is lines and lines and lines and lines and lines. Yay. But look, the leads off this go into that, and there's ground wires, so these are the bits I've got to figure out. I've got to figure out for the input jack and the ground wires. So keeping it simple,
input jack, ground wires, that's all I've got to figure out about. Because this, helpfully, I think the input jack bit goes off there, but I don't know. So I've got to do all my research and all my digging and figure it out. No. Right, so I've stripped some wire and I'm now going to begin soldering. I'm going to do the input jack first because I think I know how to do that. And I'll figure out how the input jack wires go onto the scratch plate, and then I've got to figure out the ground wires. I have no idea about any of this. Now, I don't know if I mentioned, but I'm not confident about my soldering. I might have said that. So I've got a soldering iron, but it's an old battered one, so I thought I'd get a proper soldering iron for it. Didn't want to spend a lot of money because I think it's fair to assume I'm never going to be someone who's going to take on an electronics project for a hobby. Anyway, so I bought like a 10-year-old's soldering start-off kit, and it's got stuff to clean the solder off, and this is how little I know. But the thing I'm most grateful for right now is on the back of the pack it came in, there's a 4-part little thing of how to solder. Dear 10-year-old person, this is how you solder. That's invaluable to me. I'm gonna read that before I start. It says about you've got to tin it. I know the term tinning something exists. I don't know in practical terms what it means. Anyway, so I've put Eric Clapton on the stereo. I started off with Bowie, and yeah, I'm a bit mixed with Bowie. I'm never the biggest Bowie fan. Some of it's good, some of it's crap. But anyway, I put Clapton on the stereo. Dear Eric, please pray for me now. This is the time, because if I get this wiring wrong, I don't know how to fix it. Yay. Okay, so I think I figured it. So amongst the tangle, I've sorted the input jack out. So the input jack I've screwed in, but I've only screwed it in lightly so it stays in place. I've soldered the white wire onto the volume pot because I think that's where it goes, and I think the black wire goes directly onto the pot there. But I also need to put a grounding wire in, and I'll probably run that through the guitar and put it on the back plate, but we shall see. So get in there, but it's, yeah, tricky. We shall see. Let's carry on. Right, moment of truth has arrived. I've soldered as much as I can solder, or what I think works. I genuinely haven't tried this out. I have a lead with an amplifier, so you plug it in and you tap test. So this tells us if there's any signal coming through the amplifier, it's wired properly. Now what I'm going to tap it with, I'll tap it with them. If this don't work, ooh. Doesn't work. Bollocks. So it's the end of a hard day's guitar building. It's probably about 4:30 now, and I started at about 20 to 11, and I haven't really had much of a break, to be honest. So yeah, what's that, 5.5 hours, almost 6 hours, almost 6 hours. To be honest, the bulk of the work today has been in the wiring of the pick guard, and I always knew that was my weak point. I knew that was where I was exposed. However, I'm pleased to report that we have a working Fender Stratocaster. I'm not pleased to report that it's this one. No, the wiring job was a bit of a job too far for me, so I've sent a few messages out and to a few friends who are electrically minded to see if anybody can give me a few pointers. But yeah, I think I've reached my capabilities. I need somebody to do the wiring for me. The really frustrating part is that it's only the ground wires and the input jack. And I've looked at diagrams on the internet, I've looked at YouTube videos, and I've followed the diagrams, but it's just not working. So there's obviously something I don't know. So anyway, I need somebody now who does know. That's the next stage. But yeah, very frustrating day. Now I need somebody else. So the next delay is in place. It's a bank holiday tomorrow. It's Victory in Europe Day. So I very much doubt, even with social distancing, that anybody's going to be able to help me out there. But we shall see. I'll see what messages come back this evening. But for now, I've done all I can. I've put the hardware in, but it's just that bit needs sorting. Once that's done, the guitar will be ready in an hour, maybe less. Right, so it's 2 days on from the last time when I did some filming and I tried to do the wiring and it didn't work. So I sent out a few messages to a few people, and Mike Hardy, thank you Mike, came back to me and said he'd take a look at the wiring for me. On a separate note, Mike has fixed one of my acoustic guitars, and I've just seen the repair. Whilst all observing social distancing and all of that, I've just seen the repair that he's done, and oh my word, it's incredible. Anyway, I'm sure I'll mention that at a later date. But Mike wired in the pick guard for me. So normally I'd be jumping up and down and very happy now, because really the guitar is a setup away from being completed. However, we've had a few of them along this journey. This is the guitar, isn't it pretty? When Mike wired it in, you do a tap test on the pickups, and the bridge pickup, fine. The middle pickup, fine. The neck pickup, incredibly low output, like really low output, as in the pickup itself might be defective. So, ever the optimist, I'm going to string it up, I'm going to set it up, I'm going to put it in an amp and hope that beyond all hopes that for some anomaly this is fine, there's nothing wrong with it. But I've got to say, I watched Mike do his testing. Mike knows his stuff, and my money at this moment in time is very much on Mike. So normally I'd be jumping up and down for joy now, but we shall see. So I'm going to get it wired up, I'm going to get it set up. I hope it's okay, because I really don't want to have to go through the rigmarole of sending the pick guard or a pickup back to the American people I dealt with getting it, who weren't the easiest to deal with in the first place. Fingers crossed, got to be optimistic, hopefully it'll work. But Mike's clever. Mike's really, really good, and my money's on Mike. Okay. I have in front of me what should be the finished article, but it's not. I haven't tested it yet, after what Mike said about the neck pickup, but there's a problem I've already come across as I've been setting up the bridge. So this is the bridge, takes a bit of work. By the way, it is pretty. The G string, yes, I've got problems with my G string. The G string is buzzing. Don't know if that comes across. So it's that buzzing, because the nut in the neck has been filed too low, so I need a replacement nut. They cost like a couple of quid, but I'm gonna have to order one online, file it down, get it to size, get it as it should be, which then means I'm gonna have to set up the bridge again. So I've got it into a playable condition, but this is not the playing demo. The playing demo will happen when, on my pick guard, I remove the protective plastic that's on the pick guard. That will be my sign, that will be my white flag to say, this job is now finished, this guitar is now ready. The plastic's still on. So, it won't be done until at least the nut's done. But now, so this isn't the sound test. The sound test I'm going to do microphones and everything for, but anyway. Now, the moment of truth. Wiring. Now Mike has wired this, as we know. He says that the neck pickup there's a problem with. But we shall soon find out. So, I'm on the bridge pickup. Middle pickup, bit hotter. Can already tell it's got the Clapton-y tone, so the middle pickup's cool. Okay, neck pickup. Mike was right. Hey, we're another week on from the last time you saw me. My eye, that's that one, isn't so awful now. I'm about to go for a run, hence my gear. I don't normally walk around in shiny Reebok tops. The guitar. So I ordered a replacement pickup, but then I found out that the nut on it wasn't good. And then I set it up with a new nut, and I found out that the truss rod, the bow in the neck of it, wasn't good, and the action wasn't good. So I bought one of these, a metal ruler, which is the go-to tool for testing whether your neck is bowed or not. And this is the guitar now. It's starting to look very pretty. There's a new nut in there, so that's the nut piece. And yeah, it's looking the part. That pickup needs to be replaced, so the replacement part is on its way. And in theory, when that pickup is replaced, this is now a functioning guitar. However, I have taken the neck off and I've adjusted the truss rod. So the truss rod adjustment is in here. So you might be able to see a little bit of a screw there. But you have to take the neck off and adjust it. That's the metal ruler. So the truss rod adjustment, it affects whether the neck is going like that or going like that. Ideally, you want it flat with maybe a slight bow, but when you set the neck and you've not got the strings on, you've got to remember that the strings going on the neck provide tension, and they naturally will pull the neck slightly like that. When I looked at the truss rod with the ruler, it was bowed, so the neck was bowed like that. So when I was bending strings, when I was going like that, the strings were choking out, so the string was touching the fret above and it was buzzing and dying. So I've adjusted it now to a point where I think the setup's alright, I think it's pretty good. However, I'd want the action a little bit lower, so I'd want the distance between the string and the fret a bit lower, because that's a bit high. Problem I've got now, there's plenty of them, is I can't get a slight buzzing off around frets 1 to 4. So if you listen to that.
It's only minuscule, but you can hear like a buzz where it's catching the fret above, and it shouldn't be doing that because the new nut raised the height of the strings and it shouldn't be catching. So anyway, I want to lower the strings, and if I lower the strings that's going to get even worse, but it only seems to be up until about the 5th fret. So I've ordered a type of stone, begins with a W. It's basically a knife sharpening stone. I've been watching about refrets and things on the internet, and I'm questioning whether it needs a refret. I think it probably does need a refret, but I really don't want to go down that road at this moment in time because that's a big job. So I thought, I've been looking at refrets and how to adjust a neck, set a neck, maintain a neck. And one of the things that kind of came clear was in a fret redress. So you get a stone that's the same kind of stone as you sharpen a knife on. You got one rough edge and one smoother edge. And what you do is you file down the frets, but then the problem you've got there is the frets are shaped like, have I got anything? Yeah, I'll do it like that. So a fret is shaped like that. Take the cylinder, right? If I file it off to lower it, you get a flat top along that, which means playing it won't be very pleasant. So what I've then got to do is take nail files and file down the edges so it becomes again a rounded amount. This is like minuscule dimensions we're talking, but I'm going to do that on the first 5 frets and see if that makes a difference. Anyway, as a result of the amount of unknown jobs, which I'm sure is involved in every kind of guitar build, but the amount of unknown jobs that have come along with this and unexpected jobs, I've christened this guitar El Terriblè because I'm very impatient. I wanted it done in 3 weeks. Today is 4 weeks, and I think we've got at least another week before we're there. So yeah, the terrible tale of El Terriblè continues. Hey, how you doing? It's about week 9 of my 3-week project. British infrastructure, what can you do? It's warm, I'm browner, I'm no conjunctivitis in that one anymore. It's a long time gone, that is, to be honest. And the last time I filmed, this pickup was broken and it's remained broken. However, with possibly the longest shipping time in the history of shipping times, this has arrived to replace it. So it's come from that America again, and it's taken forever. In the meantime, however, since you saw me last, work hasn't ceased. I've done a lot of work on the neck. I've done a redress, that's it, it's been a long day. Done a redress on the frets, I've levelled the frets, I've filed them off, I've sanded them down. However, we now have another problem. The neck seems to be a continual source of problems. The thread in the neck, because this neck's obviously seen a little bit of life before it came to me, is not taking the neck on one side. So I've got to dowel the neck, adjust the truss rod slightly, because I've been playing with the setup on it, and I've got a pretty good setup on this now. There's no squeaks, there's no fret buzz. We're sorted in terms of the work I've done on the frets. I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to take a look at the pickup and see if it's a job that I think I can do. If it's not, then I will speak to my wonderful man Mike, who diagnosed that this one was broken, and he was absolutely correct. But the exciting news is we're on about week 9, and it should get finished this week. Playing demo, everything. So I'm quite excited about that, but I'm not getting too excited because I've been here before with full stones. And if that pickup's broken, I think I'm going to cry. But anyway, let's finish off getting the neck sorted, shall we? Woohoo. So, here we are again. Moment of truth. Again. Now, this might not look like it, but this is a guitar. It's got no neck. It's got wiring. But
I've got the old pickup out with the soldering iron, and we all know what my soldering skills are like, and I've wired the new one in. So I can confirm this amplifier is working. I can confirm this screwdriver is working for the purposes of a tap test. So I think we might be in business. I've got to screw it in to its mounting, which I will do now very quickly, he says. Actual guitar people are in dismay right now at what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. Where I see it, I'm revolutionary. In 10 years' time, everyone will build guitars like this. They won't, that's a lie. So we'll tap test again just to be on the safe side. So back pickup is working. Mid, that wasn't broke. Middle pickup is working, that wasn't broke. Front pickup. I think I've actually got a working guitar. It's taken 9 weeks. I think I've actually got a working guitar. Let's just test that again. Let's just test the volume of that against the others. Right, now I've got to put it back together, clean it up, and then after 9 weeks I've got to record a playing demo. I am so happy I've soldered something and it's worked. This is like a first ever for me. Yay. That's the smile of a happy, but I don't do that smile very often. Last time I did that smile was in Jimi Hendrix's Flat. True story, that's not, you know, me making up a story. I was in Jimi Hendrix's Flat playing a bit of guitar. Long story. Anyway, I'm going to put this together, tidy up the wiring a little bit, sort out a playing demonstration, which won't be today. I think it might finally be built. Ah! Anyway.
Well, that's it. The guitar is now built, it's demoed, it's sorted. It needs a little bit more neck work, but I might ask probably Mike to do that for me, because there's some notes choke out when you bend them, but it's pretty much there, to be honest. So I'm really happy with the tones I've got. I think I set out to get really high-end tones, and I think I've got that. Would I build a guitar again? I suppose is the big question. Having had 9 weeks of building this, and you know, is it a project I'd take on again? And I think I probably would, but I'd have to be really motivated for it to be something I want to do. So like, you know, this is Clapton spec. That was the whole goal, is to put the vintage noiseless pickups in and do Clapton spec. It's a lot harder than you think. You think you just get the pieces and bolt them together, but it's a lot harder than that. So I would do it again, but I'd have to really have a purpose for doing it, if that makes sense. So really hope you've enjoyed the making of this video, and if you're inspired to do it, great. Good luck to you. It's certainly something where you learn a lot. Anyway, hope you've all done really well during lockdown, and thanks ever so much for watching.